Okay, we're here. This
That's
is
about
us.
the size of it. Yep. Slow
Yeah.
motion car crash. That's our show.
How you doing tonight?
I'm good. How are you doing? Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year. I'm doing okay. I was nervous about the show tonight because, it's like just I'm never good at getting things done. Am I going to be late again? And according to Mo Biggs, hey Mo Biggs, how quickly early passes into late.
True. We were in the backstage ahead of time.
Hmm?
Hey there, Mo Biggs. Yeah. So we got Mo with us right now. And we should probably get to the package opening. That's what everyone's here for, right? They want to watch us open our mail.
Yes, pretty much that. And you're
All right.
definitely going first. Hey, what'd you do this weekend with Freak Girl?
We went out on Sunday and had dinner at an Italian restaurant to celebrate New Year's Day. And Saturday night, we each had a glass of champagne and toasted at midnight. That was it.
Nice.
Everything else has been work.
Nice. I worked all weekend, and then while scanning family photos, which will take over a year to do, watched a couple of my dad's old DVDs, like war movies and stuff, and I discovered John Wayne is a boring actor. He just is.
I could see that. It's definitely the type of experience where back in the day, when we first encounter it, it leaves an indelible mark on us, and we carry that with us into the future, and not necessarily the context of the film that we watched. How many did you get through? How many DVDs?
Just 2.5.
Okay.
Let's see. What was it? Run Silent, Run Deep with, if I can see it from over here. Where is it? Just a moment. Okay, I'm back. Run Silent, Run Deep with Burt Lancaster and Clark Gable, and then They Were Expendable is John Wayne with Robert Montgomery, who is a far more interesting actor. And then I started Flying Leathernecks, John Wayne and Robert Ryan, and I just couldn't none of it was getting into my brain, and I decided I wanted different noise, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
I remember one good scene with John Wayne, and it might not be John Wayne at all, but I attribute it to John Wayne in my mind. And it's a scene where he and a young boy are standing by a lake, and the young boy says something, and John Wayne just says, "You can go get it." And the boy says, "Well, I can't swim." And John Wayne goes, "Can't swim?" He walks up and he grabs the boy by the back of his belt and by his collar, and he just hucks him into the lake. And I was like, that man's my hero. But it's unfortunate that he's a boring actor.
Yeah. Well, it seemed like his vocal expression for every line was the same. If you know what I mean.
Well, I reckon.
Yeah, that kind of thing. And him using slang from every film he did, it's like he's not acting. He's almost like what's his name? Not Willem Dafoe, the other guy. Can't think of him. Anyway, there's one actor Christopher Walken. You hire Christopher Walken to be Christopher Walken. True Grit and the Cowboys are all you need to watch out of John Wayne. Yep, I remember True Grit from being a kid, and then my dad liked Rooster Cogburn, which I haven't found a copy of yet. And then there was one other, The Shootist, where he was with Ron Howard. That's it. Yeah,
Rooster Cockburn.
Yeah,
we're not gonna make a joke about that, are we?
It has a G in it. So, anyway, the Art and Times of Jay Ryan is here.
Bullet Ninja himself. Good to see you with us. So, we got a bunch of different packages here, but one that just showed up, which I think we should open tonight, is this one from Billy Nunez, and I believe this is Dane Gang.
Okay.
And I will start with that. So let me switch over to my handy dandy table cam.
See, nope, I'm doing it wrong.
There we go. All right. So this is Billy Nunez, right? And I believe it's Dane Gang. Now, it's a collector's box that we got, right? And he seems to have wrapped it in like saran wrap. or not really, like maybe it's cling wrap, I don't know, but it got a little bit mashed up in the post on the way here. The corners are already kind of like smashed. You can see like the cardboard is showing. And when I get a collector's box as part of a campaign, I kind of want to get it and display it on my shelf, right? Like that's the whole idea of a collector's box. And that's what I thought I was getting. I didn't know that what I would be getting would be like a shipping box, because in all honesty, I don't care what it's shipped in. If I'm getting a cool looking box, that's the thing I want to keep. I don't understand why people ship their books in their pretty visual boxes.
Right.
Also, I understand the need to waterproof these things. You know, I just sent out stuff in polybag mailers myself.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure if cling wrap is the best method by which to waterproof something. I guess it's like a poor man's heat seal, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So kudos on him for taking the time and the saran wrap to get this done.
He's trying. Well, it is good to at least seal off a box like that. For it's winter, there's water, there's ice. If another mail truck goes sliding into a lake like keeps happening, then this will help it float.
Right. That's true. So as mentioned before, you can see some damages to the box right there, here, and in the corner. The post office is not kind.
No.
My post office in particular always seems to choose violence. So inside, we've got a little bit of bubble wrap to protect this, which is paper. Just a rolled up piece of paper, I guess, for padding, the sake of padding.
That was filler. Okay.
Right. So there's a little bit of bubble wrapped around a roll of paper. Okay, we've got our eyes wide shut invitation here, and I guess an envelope is probably full of prints. Let's take everything out first. So here we go. We got looks like a stick. Yep, this is a sticker. So you've got the dames who are in the Dame Gang. There's a beautiful city skyline behind them, and some nice feet. It's funny, when we had Billy on to do our show with him, it was one of our highest rated shows. There's a little punch in the butt. And it's because one of the hashtags that we used was #giantess. And apparently that hashtag gets hundreds of hits. So people were tuning into the show to see what was up with the giantess tag. This also looks like a sticker. So
was it many people
here
who are not into comic books suddenly jumping in?
That's what I'm thinking, is people who were jumping in to find out what was up with the giantess tag, and were there any large ladies? So these are the stickers that we got. We have got whatever this is. Looks like a laminated fold-out poster, I guess. That's pretty cool.
Huh.
Once again, these are the characters in the book. This is the main character.
And they're two of the four are not wearing pants.
Yeah. 2 of the 4 are not wearing pants. This is Dame Gang, dude. Like I don't know if you saw the cover here.
Not at all. There we go.
Like this the book is about women who are super large, very, very tall, with luscious curves, thick thighs. They are buxom and they have tiny waists, and don't necessarily need to wear pants.
I did look at the campaign that you told me to look at. And
the campaign page.
Yeah, one of them's like 10, 11 feet tall.
Yeah. They're big. When I say giantess, I'm not kidding. Like, oh, it's a 7-foot tall lady. We're not talking Brittany Griner here. We're talking about like legit women that could, pick you up and break you in half. What I do like is that the books are shrink wrapped. right?
Yeah.
So one wonders, because in my experience, they do not come from the printer shrink wrapped. One wonders how Billy shrink wrapped his books, but then just didn't decide to shrink wrap his collector's box. It's a little weird.
I think you can get them from a printer shrink wrapped if you order
I've
them that
never
way.
heard that, because that would compromise quality control completely.
Okay.
You would never know about any misprints, bad inks. You would never know about any misaligned pages if your margins are off. You like
Right.
it
Cause
makes
you
no
can't.
sense to get them sent by a printer shrink wrapped to your house. You can't do quality control.
Right. Okay.
This is
Good point.
book. Good. It is a good looking book. I like the gloss cover.
How's the spine feel?
This is a
pull harder.
Like you can pull on this. You can flap this. You can you can flatten it and flip page by page and flatten it out to get a good feel of the spine. It seems very well constructed, like you can really feel the spine is well sealed. It also looks like it's it's about what? I'd have to measure this, but it's about twice the size as the other spine we're going to talk about. It's like twice as thick.
Mhm.
Also,
your wife has a message for you.
There's also a lot of pages. Is it my mic? Neff respects the books. No, damn it! They have to earn my respect. So yeah, this is the intro.
Did the front cover have that crease down the spine where it's supposed to fold, or is that all you?
Yes. This is a crease where it's supposed to fold, and it comes out quite nicely. It doesn't look like the interior margins are off at all. That's one thing that I'm always concerned about when I look at books these days, because it's a common mistake people have is they don't give themselves enough room in the margins by the spine, where stuff gets lost. Visual information, sometimes even dialogue, gets lost to the room in the spine.
And at the first,
so you can see it's a little cartoony. It's a nice, interesting style. Billy does the art himself. He's also the writer. I really like the stuff that he's done with technology and some of his like cybernetics and stuff. That's actually what attracted me to him in the first place. Corey says, "What? Whoa! What do you say?"
There you go. There's so many babes.
There's so many babes. I know. Here, let me get to the good part where you actually like see the babes.
By the way, I could see the glue sticking out from the first page you turned because you were pulling it so hard to make sure the spine was good. No, anyway.
Yeah. I mean, I have more than one copy, of course. Here we go. Here's some babes, right? They are large and in charge.
Yes.
And I love how like the cops are pointing these tiny little pea shooters at him, and they've got their hands up, and it's like those bullets would ricochet off their thighs, right?
Yes. I love the cop there holding the handcuffs and looking at the cop next to him like,
You're like, how are these gonna work? Yeah, he says, smiling. Are you sure you can fit these into your schedule? I can't read upside down, man. I'm sorry. I wish.
All right.
I wish I could read upside down. Then these they get booked, which is the poster that we got. This is also Dame Gang 2, I should mention. This is following on the heels of Dame Gang 1, which I think I have right here. In fact,
Mobig says those microscopic margins are throwing him off. He shouldn't have spent the last several months reading Adam Post books.
So yeah, as you can see, the style is similar, but I think that the layouts are probably slightly improved in book 2. But yeah, as for want of pants, like these ladies, they don't need pants. You know what I mean? Like it's all about butts and boobs, and I think Billy certainly has delivered in that regard. So now we have Dame Gang 1, Dame Gang 2. Here is the variant that I'm going to leave sealed inside of its beautiful shrink wrap.
Oh,
We are going to open our little Eyes Wide Shut letter, though, and find out
can we see the
what.
variant cover again
Oh
before
yeah,
you
yeah, yeah.
get
It's
into the
like
occultic
it's like
mystery?
some. It's the newest addition to the Dame Gang. The Asian chick, and she's like a psycho and covered in blood.
Dang,
I'm gonna have to find out why. I have to read the book.
cool.
But she's also in the poster. She's covered in blood too, right? So
Jay Ryan,
one would
this is funny because I watched Die Hard 2 this weekend.
So one would think that there's like a reason. That she's probably, I don't know, maybe she sat on somebody. Who
Yeah.
knows?
Maybe
We
she
shall
eats wild deer raw for, you know.
Oh, for sustenance because she needs protein. That's a terrifying thought. Looks like these are trading cards. I think.
Or they were.
Yeah. Oh, look, it's Exodia. We're gonna summon Exodia, guys. Ready. This is certainly a trap card of sorts, right? We've got Maven, who's the main character, right? We've got Vanessa. She's got all the cool tattoos, right?
Mm-hmm.
We've got Rio. She's a very big lady with tiny little hands because she's holding these Glocks, these Glock 19s, and I don't know if those are custom guns. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So she's holding regular pistols. They definitely been making these special for her. And then we've got the Archivist and Mega Heart. And funny enough, these guys look like dwarves. You know, like the kind in Aerith's book, Dwarves versus Lions, or Dwarves versus Junkmen coming soon. So maybe like there are super large ladies and super tiny men. I mean, he certainly does look like he's got a big head, small hands, you know, like he looks like a little guy, especially since there are people flanking him and he comes up to the cuff on their shirt.
This reminds me of that, oh geez, what's his name? Deuce Bigelow movie?
The male gigolo?
Yeah. With the one client who had to testify in court that, you know, they were basically just pure on their dates because it would be impossible.
Can't say I saw the movie, but based on your reaction, it definitely sounds like something that has some hilarious moments. So that's Dame Gang. I don't remember exactly how much this was. If you have the website up, you could tell me if there's like a
man, I gotta find that. Negaheart sounds like it would be a Care Bear villain. Yeah, actually.
Yeah. I will look it up real quick, and I'm also going to switch my camera back over to look at me, so you're not staring at the table. We'll look it up. Hey, look, stickers versus bookmarks trending. Dame Gang. Let's see Dame Gang 2. Show it to me. That's Dame Gang 1. $18,000, man. Thick thighs and big tits. They do a great job.
They make money.
Selling books.
There we go. Dame Gang 2. That's one thing I forgot to do is bring things up today. Yeah, I got that.
Yeah, it's I'm not very good at it either. 12K on the campaign, and it looks like the card carrier was $14, which I got. The cover A was 25 and the cover B was 25. So everything in the box plus the box itself looks like it was $65.
Oh. So let's see. I'm just going to look at it real quick.
I'm sure there was another tier. Like I'm looking at it. There it is. Yeah, very special box for everything except the big posters and card carrier.
Is it that window? There we go. I'm here. And let's see. Cover A. Cover B. I am logged in. I should not be logged in.
I got 1A, 2B. I got the 18 by 12 poster, the stickers, and the cards. I got cards 2, I think, not cards 1.
Yeah, right now it's just a card carrier and cover A or B, and I don't want to click into it while I'm showing screen because I am logged in.
You don't have to share it.
Are there add-ons that
there are? Yes. The small poster 2 is what I've got here. Is $3. The cards are $14. And the Dame Gang 1A and 1B were $25 each, but I already had those.
Okay, yeah, you can add on if you want it to
And
back issue your stuff.
yeah, by itself, the book is only $5 shipping, which is super cool. But when you add in the box, things get different because you're no longer within the realm of media mail. Also, since you're adding cards and stuff, you can't send things media mail, and you're going beyond flat rate because I don't think you have the dimensions that you need to be able to send packages.
Oh, okay.
You're like going outside the same thing with like the big poster tube that's not covered by the certain flat rate shipping.
Yep. Cool. We've been joined by Amarosa or Amarose. I got to ask her what that is. That's a her. And
Hey, Amarose Moon.
And where did it go? Dean is here under his
in the stream
comics moniker. Yeah.
And
we're
I just
done.
ended now. Yeah.
Well,
all right. Nice so you're up now.
Oh, are you sure? I have one. I have only one.
Okay. Do you want me to go again? I'll go twice.
Yes, please.
Okay.
But we don't have to finish everything you have, because that was my mistake on our first stream.
Right. Yeah, we blew through a lot of stuff on that first stream. It was fun though. Like we got into the rhythm of like opening boxes and everything. It's fun. So I got something from last week, and I got this thing from Wicked Publishing. Which I just realized we never blocked out our address on. So
I'm gonna go back to that post. Your wife,
take care of that.
Your wife already said in here, dude, do not dox us. Where did she say that?
I don't know.
Symbol
but there we go.
box,
It's
blah,
gone
blah,
now.
blah.
All right. So which one first? Do you want me to grab the one from Orange Cone, which would be Travis, or the one from Mike, which we just got this week?
Let's go Orange Cone, because I don't know who that is. Uh-oh. He just booted himself out trying to switch cameras. He'll be back in a minute. Okay, so who's in the chat now? We've got going on. Amaros. She says, don't mind me. I'm just eating pierogi and kielbasa, enjoying the show. Okay, someone enjoys it. That's cool. Let's see. Everybody else is here. We got, hey, Corey. Oh.
Mo Biggs
look who's back.
I don't know when I got kicked either.
Do you want to try and switch cameras again?
Okay, I'll switch cameras.
Carefully.
There
you go.
So you got these two. Next. Got this.
Yeah, let's go with Travis first, because I don't know who
Travis
is.
Okay. Travis from Orange Cone Productions, a friend of ours. He has done a bunch of books. Right now, actually has a book from Band of Bards that is going through Diamond to stores, and he's doing that with Tyler Carpenter, who did Girl with the Mega Fists and all that stuff. It's going to be a very very interesting 2023. I'll tell you that much.
Cool.
So a lot of stuff going on in the comics community, and people aren't really privy to it yet, but they'll find out soon enough. We have got Pup Van Winkle from Orange Cone Productions. I don't remember backing this, but I'm assuming Travis is sending me a comp. Yep, it's got Jerome, his letterer, Heather, his editor, and Martha Schwartz, I guess, is the artist on this. Freako could tell me whether or not we did back this. I don't believe we did, or at least I don't remember backing it. Comes with a cute little sticker. Chromium
shiny,
sticker,
of course.
And this is this looks like a magnet. So I'm always a fan of magnets. Me and my girl Amanda B, we get down on the magnets. There we go. All right, let's take a look at Pup Van Winkle. I'll move this stuff over here.
Your wife is still correcting us on this, by the way.
That's his wife's book.
Heather.
Okay, so she wrote it. Did he edit? This is nice, though.
Wow, you can actually open it all the way to the spine without it falling
But
apart.
this is a saddle-stitched book.
I know.
Doesn't count. Doesn't count.
I'm only half as stupid as I pretend to be, okay?
Right. You're setting us up for the big reveal later. So Freak Girl probably knows more about this than I do, because she actually knows that it's Travis's wife's book and not his book. Looks like we've got some.
That's for her. Don't slam it around like you do the other ones.
No, I'll be gentle. I swear. It looks cartoony, definitely some indie art, but probably on the higher end of what you would expect from like a indie artist or a first or second time artist. I don't know who did the art. They look like they have a good grasp of character design, like the way that the pups are positioned and everything. Their layouts
Yeah.
are fine. They're decent. I don't see any problems with them. I'd have to jump into the story to really know for sure, but this is certainly a nice surprise. And coming from Orange Cone, I'm betting this is a all ages book, just based off of the logo. I would imagine that it'd be a all ages book. Cover price is $5, which is nice. Let's take a look. It says, written by Heather Gibb, art by Martha Schwartz, letters by Jerome, because all the letters are by Jerome. There were multiple covers, so yes, this was probably a comp. Special thanks to my beloved husband, Travis Gibb, for his unconditional love, encouragement, and support. And it is always awesome to see a dynamic duo, husband and wife, making comics together and taking care of each other. I mean, that's
nice.
very encouraging. So yeah, I'm definitely going to have to read this because it was sent to me by Travis. And I don't think I backed it, which means he's probably going to expect a little bit of feedback or something. I don't know.
That's like you and Freak Girl, which is spelled FREQ, just to be clear.
Yes, because we are the frequency, the global frequency.
All right, Michael Watson. Here we go.
Yeah, this is Michael's bag of whoa. There's a bunch of stuff in here.
He did that to me too.
Oh, I can't show one of these covers on stream. That one can't be shown. So this is McKinnon Chronicles. I don't recall when we backed this or how we backed it. It was probably on Kickstarter because he runs a lot of his stuff there. It's a very thick boy, as you can see. It is saddle stitch, but it is a thick boy, right?
I think that's a lady.
Gotta have.
That's a thick lady.
Oh, this is actually at Source Point right now.
Oh, okay.
This is actually in circulation with Source Point Press, if I recall, based off of this cover image. I could be wrong. But
Source Point has put out a few good books, like was it Broken Gargoyles was a good one.
You mean this right here?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
Yeah, I like it too.
You can guess who turned me on to that one was this Odinist guy.
Mm-hmm. And then it shifts back to black and white, and it looks like the line work gets very heavy. Very, very thick lines. Interesting. I would have stayed in color for this, man. Like I like stuff in color. Is this black and white all the way through?
And it's
I have to say I'm disappointed because this is not bad. Colors are not incredibly dynamic, but they're there, right? Like you've got this really cool Nova effect. This isn't terrible. The colors don't have a lot of depth, but they are what they are. And it just kind of feels like it falls off. I'm not seeing here anything that says we flew through a wormhole and went into black and white land.
Or flashback in time or anything.
All right, well, let me just read it real quick. It says, unidentified cruiser. This is the Solarian Alliance battle cruiser Hyperion. Shut down your reactor and prepare to be boarded. We'll be forced to fire upon you if you fail to comply.
And
no response.
The first frame is black.
I don't think that's a frame. Yeah, I don't know what that is.
Huh.
That's a good point. Interceptor missiles are cool. This could have been done a little bit better. I would have given more room here so that we can actually see the missiles flying. So one of the cool things that you'll notice about space combat, if you ever read even in old books like Adam Warlock, Silver Surfer, and stuff where you're looking at galaxies and stars and the expanse of space, it's really exciting to give bigger panels with smaller objects to give it that feel of vastness. And when you do close-ups, you want those those tight panels that were shown, but you want something establishing what's happening before we move in to that that more close-up feel, or that more close-up view. So like this, right? This is good.
Yeah.
Right. I would give us fully established, like a full establishing shot of these two cruisers. Right.
Yeah.
And then I would have the missiles launched, the guns trying to intercept and shooting some of the missiles, failing to shoot the missiles, going, what the hell? I don't know. I'm going to have to get into it.
The grayscale coloring on there looks a lot like, it's not grayscale, even though they're all different grays. There's no gradation.
It's like color that had completely desaturated.
Yeah.
Yeah, they completely desaturated the color.
And Jay Ryan, which is probably not his, I don't know what your real name is, don't care, but I don't care to dox you. That is, anyway, it's perhaps a nod to manga, as many of these have a few color pages to set the tone and then go to black and white for the rest of the book. Yes, we've seen that.
I mean, sure, but then why not do it manga size? You're doing this traditional 6 point whatever by 10.4 whatever. You could do this as a 6.5 by 8.5 sized book. You don't have to print it at this size.
One thing I noticed reading what was it, Fiendish, was that if you want to do stuff that's manga related and you do it at manga size, don't explode it up in size just to be, or it doesn't match the way you lay stuff out for
panels.
Yeah,
it
exactly.
Doesn't have manga style panels. These are Western panels. This is Western panel design.
Mm-hmm.
It's all gridded out, like, I don't know. But look, it's two big moons and something in the middle there.
Very small in the middle.
Yeah, it's a tiny little ship.
Yeah.
It's a tiny little ship. Feels like she's upside down here, right?
To us, yes.
Upside down, upside down, upside down. To us, yes? Okay. She's right side up here, though. Is she? I can't tell anymore. She looks like she's looking at me. She's looking at me, Ray.
Don't get paranoid. That's my
I guess we're in 0G at that point.
That's my real name. Okay, that's not your real picture, though.
I'm really surprised, but I will have to read through it and give a better assessment of it. But on first look, I mean, colors is nice, right? We've got its nice blue hue. We got the glow, right? We've got a cute redhead. I'm kind of a sucker for a redhead protagonist, especially a female redhead. But I only get 2 pages or so of her being a redhead, and then she's a gray head. And that's a little bit disappointing. Yeah. But expectations, right? That was all that came in there. So if it was a campaign, I don't know if it unlocked any of its additional stretch goals or anything. So I'll have to go back in time and take a look and see what it was, because I did not expect McKinnon Chronicles to show up today. I remember last year when we were talking to somebody about that. Anyway, your turn, buddy.
Okay, cool. That's sort of cool. You get comps every so often. Jay Ryan says, yes, this avatar for him is his real art. I just don't think that's his real face. That's all. Maybe I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, okay. Anyway, moving on. By the way, I think the light on my microphone is getting a little dim. So if I start to disappear, just to let me know. What are we looking at next, boys? We are looking at something from Eric Nienoltowski.
Nice.
Not to spoil it, but it was on the label. It's kind of funny. I peeled the label off and some of the paper came with it, and there's this little note to himself about what goes in it. And I couldn't read it anymore because I scraped too much off. But it's always interesting when you get some archaeological notes. Oh yeah, if my microphone picks up too much slamming on the desk, I'm a very pretty lady. Okay, all right, cool. Just let me know about if the mic's too slamming. My older sister, I think I learned this by imitation. She has to she can't just do this at Christmas. She has to peel every piece of tape off one at a time. It's ridiculous. Oh yeah, am I supposed to be bigger? How do we do this? All right, good enough. Oh boy. So right now I'm trying not to be my older sister. There we go.
I love painter's tape. It actually works really well to hold things in place, and it doesn't stick too much to the the things that are inside there.
The
Much
blue
better
tape?
than like see. Yeah. It's I call it painter's tape because we use it when we paint.
Yeah.
We stick it on the wall, and when we paint over it, we can just tear that off without it like leaving any residue or anything. It's kind of like masking tape, I guess. I don't know.
Uh-huh. Oh boy.
Good stuff, Shadow Sentry.
Okay.
Now you have to slam the books around on the table. It's now a tradition, right?
All right, let me mute first. No, I don't want to. I don't know. I wish I had the clip ready to go, but there's a clip of Luke Stoltman. He's one of these World's Strongest Man dudes. And all these, they're at a competition. They're at the hotel, and he's got his phone out, and he's taking video of these big guys jumping in the pool, and he just says, "Don't land on me. I'm just little." The dude's 6'3" and like almost 300 pounds. But I feel like that right now when you're like, slam your books. I'm like, no, they're just little. Let's see what we got here. So obviously there's something more packed up below. We'll get to that in a minute. I know what it is. Now let's see. Okay. Oh, yes. So we have the Art to Bear tribute cover. And just to get that a little less shiny. Is the light okay in here?
Yeah, it's good.
All right, good. Because if I turn on the one above my desk, it just turns into this. So it becomes that glare.
The desk light lets you pick up some of the, better color detail.
I just have to be careful. That's all. There we go. So there's the back side. And going carefully. Eric may watch this later, so I have to not abuse his artwork. And believe it or not, you can buy this image as a mouse pad, which I think is hilarious.
That's really cool.
Yeah. So, there it is. He signed it.
Nice. Very cool.
So, groundbreaking. This is the reprint of issue 1. Very gently flip through it. So, if you didn't get to see issue 1, there we go. It's Glare City in here. Hey Hex, how you doing?
Those glossy pages, they reflect a lot of light.
Yeah, and down in here, like, oh, it's not focusing. I'm not gonna be able to focus that.
Look, it's Momra.
Momra? Oh, I'm
He looks
sorry.
like Momra, doesn't he? Yeah, it looks a little bit like Momra.
Who's Momra? I'm getting lost.
Momra from the Thundercats. You don't remember the Thundercats? Come on.
I didn't grow up watching Thundercats or He-Man or other cool stuff like that because I had sisters that were older than me, ruining my life.
You didn't watch. I guess you watched Care Bears then and stuff, didn't you?
No, I did not watch Care Bears, thankfully. But once in a while, we got to watch Dukes of Hazzard
Nice.
when I was in kindergarten.
Good show.
Dude, Eric, the artist here, he drew every hair on this dude's arm. Like this must have been half an hour.
No, Eric's great, man. He's a very solid artist, really good storyteller too. Yep.
Yeah. So he's got good panel flow. The eye jumps down. We read. We keep reading. All right, we're going to move on to book 2. Give that a quick flip. Don't go too far away. All right, is there anything? Nope. The title on this one is off kilter, and I couldn't tell if there was like a card in there. We got more stuff in the back. Man, Tape and I are not getting along.
I don't think Tape gets along with anybody.
There we go. So signed also right about there. Hopefully I won't blind us. Oh. There, that picks up the gold a little bit. There we go. And this is an homage to, I think that would be Wolverine in a particular X-Men cover. So we're back in. Bionic 6 was my all-time favorite. Yeah, I hate Tape, says Jeremy. Freak Girl says she watched both but preferred Thundercats. So here's Hopscotch. All right, that's not working. That works a little better. Man, how long do these pages take to draw? Look how. I can't wait to read this thing. Need more? There we go.
Sorry,
Jeff,
I just muted to type a response in the chat, and I didn't want the clickety clacks to get picked up on the screen.
I was gonna say you look really bored, or I can't tell what you're looking at.
No, I'm trying to type on a laptop. So I'm like,
Yeah. Let's see what we're doing here. I think that's a poster. And in the other one, in the reprint of issue 1, there were a couple of cards. Marcion and Robert Noble. Wait, do I move them or the camera? There we go. What do we got here? Stickers. This is a print. What is this? Is a reference to something. I forget. Is this an X-Force cover?
I think so. I don't know. It looks like Wetworks to me.
Oh, okay. I don't remember reading Wetworks when I was younger.
It was put out by Image. I liked the design of characters in Wetworks, especially the dude with like the double-barreled grenade launcher on his arm.
And you got this poster too when you got your humongous box of Neil Towski.
Yep. I think that was a homage as well. I think that one was the X-Force or New Mutants rather cover.
Art to Bear. One of our friends. Man, I haven't talked to Art in forever, but it was great when he and I used to talk after streams. So we got a couple more trading cards, Fusion and Cogent.
Yeah. We looked at their power sets last time when I opened up the box. It's cool. You can pick a favorite and we can make them fight.
I have the dice somewhere. And an Ashcan preview.
Yeah.
Number 3. It's very Ashcan-y, the way it should be.
Yep.
All right. So let's get to that mystery wrapper that I had. Put everything in a nice place.
A special parcel that he sent you?
Yes. Okay, so this is my older sister at Christmas. She has to like unbuckle each piece of tape. It is torturous being around her. Anyway.
You should see me wrap presents.
I used craft paper like this to wrap my presents for my buddy's kids, and brought them over there. And he's like, "What? No string? Brown paper packages." But it just shipping tape and craft paper. That's it.
Right, Freak Girl's really good at wrapping presents. I make a habit of wrapping them in tape. The paper's just decoration.
Yep.
It's really the tape that's holding everything shut. Because I'm terrible at wrapping, so I just kind of like multiple loops of tape around everything. Hold it in place. Oh, it's the hardcover black and white artist edition. Very nice.
Yep. Because this was cool. Oops. Okay, if I move that, we get more screen. So yeah, this is going to be.
Yeah, I'd like to see that page again where he was jumping around on the rooftop. If you could find it to see what it looks like in the artist edition before the addition of colors, because I know Sigmund, the artist that Eric works with, he does a lot of. Oh, that's really cool. He signed it and said thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. He does like a lot of effects, and just kind of glancing through the screen, I would love to see like how it was inked or what the line work was just by itself. Of
jumping from the rooftop
page where he's jumping with the flow of the page when we were talking about that. I don't know.
That's volume 1.
Oh, is that volume 1? My bad.
And I have that in black and white as well. If you want me to go grab it.
Well, then, yeah, we should definitely take a look at that at some point. We don't have to do that on the air.
When you're opening your last one, I can. If you want to open one more, we can do that.
Oh yeah, I can open more. I can open 4 more.
So
Oh.
you can see here these little squiggles right there. In the previous black and white for volume 1, you could actually see where he used marker to fill in because the black changes.
Mhm.
And he wanted to do something nice. Instead of just having an artist edition that sits on your coffee table and is boring, he put the lettering in over the line art so you can actually read the black and white edition, and it's really cool that way. Yeah, this is great. You get to see all of his hard work, all the little
There's a lot
stuff that
of
might get.
detail that you can pick up there.
Yeah. So there it is. I know it's upside down to the world. There we are. Oh man, this is so cool. Yeah, what's great about this, unlike a lot of black and whites I see, this is detailed, but it's not so detailed that I can't distinguish things. Being dyslexic, I think I see other people praising highly detailed artwork that has no line weight depth. This guy uses line weight depth, uses some grayscale, and I can always see his stuff really nicely as opposed to like some other high detail stuff. See, he left room for the colorist.
That's a little bit too much for me there.
This one?
Yeah, the diamond at the top, all the way the bubbles just kind of like eat up all of the room. We do get some negative space taken up by the characters, but it feels very almost Bendizian, since I'm making that an adjective, in its approach to the connected bubbles. It's there's a lot being said there. It's kind of wordy.
Yeah. Okay. When I was a kid, I was taught how to break in a spine on a hardcover book, and and I get this comment all the time when I opened up a new copy of Arkham Asylum. Yeah, you do the main wings first, then you go a few pages in on each side until you get to the middle. But back to
guys, these are books. These are you're like the gentle flower that is the graphic novel must be caressed and properly spread open. No, dude, they're fucking books. Sorry, I apologize.
I told Eric if he's going to watch this later, I'm going to try to make it okay for children's ears because he has kids around. But yeah, I see what you mean. This is where it gets really
Put a
dense
warning in
for me. This is where it's a little bit dense for me and I get lost, but my brain kind of does this until it knows where to land, which would be here. And then if I just follow the bubbles, there's a nice flow that way.
Might help. I think the addition of color might help because, the bubbles are black and white and the line art here is all black and white. So
yeah.
Throwing in some color onto that page might help me distinguish the shapes of the bubbles with the words in them from the shapes of the art that they're surrounding. You know what I mean? I don't know. I guess you should be looking at the camera or at the screen, not at the book.
Yeah, I know what
not
you mean.
Not everyone is a heathen like me. That is true. That is true. I am a heathen.
And I know what you mean because when I cracked open this particular page, what is this? He's always been like this, very gentle. When I cracked open this particular page, my eyes were drawn first to here and then up instead of to the noise going on up here like that. Whereas on other pages, I could probably start at the top more easily. So yeah. So Ninotowski puts out a really cool, readable artist edition like that. So cool.
So we've been joking about spines and pages and stuff for a while now. Do you want to get to the main event and clue the audience in as to why this is also hilarious?
Okay, so we read a book as our homework for the week to look at mutually this week, and it was The Buckler.
The Buckler
by Dillard Draws.
My man Dillard. I love Dillard, man. He is a blast to work with. He is hilarious. Honestly, like he is the Buckler in many ways.
Yes.
He smokes, he broods, he's somewhat foul-mouthed and uncouth, and he takes no guff. He very like if we stuck him in a skin-tight purple suit and put a black domino mask on him, he'd be the Buckler. I don't know if his physique quite matches that of the Buckler, but like one likes to imagine, right? They just admit to imagining Dillard?
I believe it does not, and
No.
and I don't have to. I don't care to imagine.
Okay. Okay. So looking at this, right off the bat.
It's
What?
not signed with cigarette ashes on it. I'm a little disappointed.
It needs a cigarette burn.
Yeah.
So right off the bat here, I really feel that the cover is great. The detail on the cover is great. If you've seen this artwork without the color on it, it's really nicely done. Like there's a whole part here that we aren't quite seeing. And I think that's because the color's printing darker than maybe we wanted it to. Now you're actually like unloading the all the extras that it came with. You got those coasters, you got a buckler sticker.
No cigarettes.
You get a Dillard sticker too? That's a Dillard, yeah, Dillard draw sticker.
This came on the wrapper it was in, so I'm just like I'm keeping that,
Yeah.
And two other little stickers. But back to the I'm sorry, the intellectual assessment we were doing of
not that
artwork.
Intellectual. Yeah. This is a great image to open to. It's him with his like moose antlers. That's like part of his power manifestation. In his badass superhero onesie, covered in blood, and it's a very nicely detailed page, or pinup, I guess. Got a Dillard signature down at the bottom. I really like this. I opened this up. I'm like, that's well defined. I like the pencils here. I like the way that he's given us plenty of detail without too much ink. Plenty of room for color.
Mm-hmm.
And this whole beginning sequence, honestly, I feel like he gets all the colors down pretty well. It might be because it's a daytime sequence and the environment is snow. We get my favorite part of the comic. This is honestly what sold me on this book. This page
jumping after the helicopter.
Yeah, he's this tiny little thing on the cliff, right? And he's jumping after this helicopter. And of course, we don't know how it ends because we go into a page turn that says 1 week later. So I'm assuming that he caught the helicopter, right? Like we assume, and we learn later that he did because he has the little artifact that was being stolen.
Mm-hmm.
This is probably the best page in the book.
And I thought
this is what made me want to hire him to do the story by Kimasabe in the Mavericks Ashcan, because it's set in the mountains, and I saw what Dillard was doing with mountains, and I was like, yeah, bro, you're on.
Okay. Now this page turn here, this one, where just so people get a little bit of the plot and then get to that page turn, we start the story and he's chasing down a guy named Harrington, who we find out has a tiny totem idol right there. That's hard to see on the page. And then he gets a phone call and stops running for the phone call, throws his sat phone away, and then starts running again. So he's given Harrington this giant lead now, which is dumb. And then has to try and leap to the helicopter to catch him. I know I'm doing this upside down for you guys. What I thought was kind of cool was we got this impression of this giant open space, almost like a canyon, coming off of a cliff. And then we flip the page and we're in a different kind of canyon, another helicopter, that sort of thing, with Ip in the sky for reasons we don't know before we recognize it as Winnipeg. Yeah. It's like on the camera you can see that, but when I was reading it, I just opened the page and I see Ip. I'm like, what?
I agree. I didn't really get the black negative space in here against the building at first either, but when I finally realized, okay, I get it. It's cool. It's kind of like
so we go from one canyon to another basically with a helicopter. It's a good parallel. Moving on. Back to you, Neff.
Do you remember where we are when we picked up? I don't think I got a location box. We just got you can't run forever. I'm the buckler and I'm coming after you. I don't think we got like we're at the North Pole or we're in Antarctica or anything.
We had some John Dillard presentation.
Yep.
Yeah, warming up. No, we're just wherever, somewhere snowy on Earth.
Yeah, somewhere snowy. We're chasing Harrington. He's got an idol. Like you said, the sat phone call is to tell Dillard. I'm sorry, Buckler. Wow, I'm going to do that a lot, just so you know. I'm going to conflate the two. The phone call is to tell the Buckler that the Buckler's ex-wife is actually getting married to Harrington, the guy that he's chasing. And that's why he like, heriting you a-hole and coming after you and got that awesome thing. And as you can see, it's kind of happening here.
Yep.
It's starting to happen.
Maybe like that right there.
This is why everyone was laughing about, weak spines, and yeah, all my pages started falling out. And it might be because I'm a heathen with my book. I understand I'm not delicate, and I don't treat it with kit gloves and everything, but I opened the book and I heard the satisfying crack of the spine. But unfortunately, that was not the satisfying opening crack. That was the breaking crack. And
I saw my white lines starting to form on multiple pages, and another one down here. I kind of closed the book, and so you can feel the need to pinch it back together. There's no crease along the spine where it's supposed to fold.
Yeah,
it's just wrap around. That's
and
it.
You can see when you do open it that the amount that it opens is about half the size of a normal margin spine on any other perfect bound book. So as you can see, Neff's got stickies already, right? Got some stickies.
Here we go.
So one of the things that I find is that we had this really cool, colorful intro, right? Even Winnipeg has got some dynamic color to it. But once we hit this, right, this becomes the color palette for pretty much the rest of the book. The rest of the book is just kind of these muted brown tones, and Buckler's wearing like a purple jumpsuit, right? Like that's kind of his thing. I imagine that it's purple, right?
And
I don't know
your camera is picking up way more red than mine, and when I look at my screen and then look down here, they look alike. Okay, and your print is like brighter than mine, or camera's better. Which my camera's crap. So.
Oh, maybe it's not purple. Maybe it's taupe. I'm not sure.
It's
but
dark.
I don't feel like his suit stands out so much against like the brownness of the colors. And the point that I'm trying to make is that it feels like the colors get a little bit muddy, and they stay muddy and they stay dark, and it becomes hard to pick up details in in the backgrounds of some of these images. Like, it just feels like it's very, very encumbered by shadow. And I think that it printed darker than maybe Dillard wanted. My second sticky note here, I can't really get it closer for you to see, but you've got it right there. This conversation panel right here. Dillard did everything on this book. Dillard did the line work, the inks, the colors, the letters, all of it. He had a couple of different editors. I think he listed like 4 people.
Yeah,
one of the problems with this is that the lettering doesn't quite line up the way that he wants it to.
Right. And this is not just this panel.
Yeah, I didn't read these bubbles in the correct order. And it happens, I think, at least one other time. And it just goes to show that like lettering is its own skill that requires technique, that requires like there's a whole host of unspoken or I know they are written because you can actually read books on lettering, but like I guess unspoken and unannounced rules for lettering a comic. And I think that this is Dillard's first time having a go at it. And I can get these vertical tails that he's doing, but for me, the lettering in the book becomes a little bit difficult to follow at times.
Yeah. And even though this is only 1, 2, we'll say 1.5, 1, 2, 3.5, 4, 5.5 bubbles just in this frame, I've seen it arranged spaced out like this before, where you can tell I'm supposed to jump over here and then back again. Still not preferred, but you can tell better. And this one,
right.
He does. In fact, I would say don't use the tail, break it off so that I know not to go from here to there, but maybe then I'd jump back and forth.
He does a couple of other moments. I think when he's interrogating, what's his name in the basement? Harrington, right? Harrington is the guy's name. I think when he's interrogating Harrington in the basement, he's pouring himself a drink. Here. God damn it. And he's pouring shut up. And he's pouring himself a drink.
Are you reading the dialogue
again,
or are you
once again, with the lettering here, this is the first bubble that I read, right?
Yeah.
It's now separating itself on its own. I'm not even touching it. It's just kind of falling apart. Sorry, Dillard. So that's the first bubble you want to read. That's not actually the first bubble to read. This is the first bubble you're supposed to read here. This one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But we read left to right. And I know that this one's slightly offset and above this one, but that's not going to save you from the way that somebody's going to read this page. And so I'm going to read it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? But I'm supposed to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think that's just what I'm imagining from this angle.
Answer. Yeah, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, it's start in the middle, then alternate sides like that.
So do you want to like give some spoilers here? Because there are a couple things that I like that he does between this showing up with the tiki idol, which apparently he scored off of Harrington, right? So I guess he caught the helicopter and somehow got the idol away from him, right?
Somehow.
But we don't really know.
Until the end, which started to make sense.
Sort of.
I had to read the end twice to make it make sense.
Yeah, exactly. And he shows up at Harrington's. So he goes to his office. He checks in with his secretary, who's got some really nice tattoos, and this other chick that he winds up sleeping with later. After he's confronted by this vagrant, who apparently Buckler is responsible for the death of his daughter. I guess we find more out about that later. And then he shows up to Harrington's house, and he does this thing that I'm not a huge fan of. We've got some pretty sparsely worded pages, there's not a lot of dialogue here. It's very open, very clean. The visual storytelling flows really nicely. We have a couple of dialogue bubbles here, nothing over encumbering, right? More nice visuals, like, we're driving, we get one thing off the phone, right? And then we hit like conversation expo land.
Yeah,
this happens a lot. I'm guilty of it myself. It's just that there are times in the pacing of a story when you're going from quieter moments of transition where there is no need for any sort of dialogue to moments of conversation. But I guess where I'm kind of getting stuck is if you look at the panel count earlier, you've got less panels, and now you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Whereas before we had 1, 2, 3, 4, right?
Mm-hmm.
1, 2, 3,
4.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if you look at the bubbles that we've got them much further spread apart. Now suddenly we have 7 panels on one page and 2 or 3 bubbles per panel. And that's what makes it feel incredibly cluttered as far as words, right? You've got 4 internal monologue boxes, exposition boxes, what Buckler is thinking in his head right here.
Mm-hmm.
You've got a large statement and a response. Then for some reason, he's got a connected bubble with a long tail between the two. And this is when it's, again, like the lettering style that Dillard's doing that I'm not a huge fan of, but I can kind of get why he's doing stuff like that to try and space out, but it doesn't make any sense here.
Yeah, so it's not a single block, even though now he's covering the guy's chin,
Right. And his words just kind of trail off with blah 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 there, which I think is kind of funny because it's Buckler's mindset. The guy's talking and he's just blah 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 blah. He's not actually saying blah blah blah, but the Buckler is taking it that way. And throughout this whole thing, I got to say, Dillard did a really good job getting you into the shoes of the Buckler's personality. Like, you experience the Buckler on these pages. He has a lot of irreverence and just, I don't give a crap about anything.
Oh yeah.
Attitude.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Can we go back a little bit?
Sure.
Okay. So he's back in Winnipeg and he's confronted by this, he's going to what is essentially his headquarters. Oh, look, there are hookers hanging out there and they know him. That just like, this is supposed to be a failed superhero. And I knew this going in because I read the ash can where this guy's daughter gets killed.
Yep.
And so it's already been shown in an ash can, but yeah, maybe we'll get back to it later. Anyway, the hookers are there to greet him and he's like, no. So he's being
well, he says later. He says nothing comes free.
Yeah, later. He's polite for some reason. And it's like, this is not like Jesus being polite with the hookers. This is different. So he's confronted by the father of the woman who died. and Dillard throws in just vulgar humor all over it. Like this guy passes out drunk and craps
Poops
himself.
himself. Yep.
Yeah, which happens more than once.
Yep.
In the book, we progress a bit, and as we go along, as he's being confronted by this gang of 4 outside his ex-wife's house, where he just wants to see his daughter, this is being set up. And he's basically being set up, and he racks one of the guys, and we have it explained to us here what a ruptured testicle is.
Now, do you remember when I told you when you read this book, you're going to get to the testicle page, and you're like, "The what?" And I said, "You'll see. You'll understand when you get there." Do you understand why this thing gives me PTSD looking at this? I have these horrible flashbacks to like the testicle exploding out the side of the scrotum.
Well,
and then
one
on the
thing
next page,
Dillard does really well here is characterization. So we know just how doofus these people are by a comment in the dialogue that these are unpowered, although she might be powered. Okay, she might actually be a powered superhero, as it were. But this gang of 4, I forget what they're really called. The Gateway 4 is what it is. Gateway. They are unpowered people behaving as if they were superheroes, and they are just as much like losers as the Buckler himself is, who is supposed to be a superhero with really bad luck who just screws up. Okay, so going into this, he's a screw up. He's not succeeding as a hero, and he's just got really bad luck on top of that. So do these people. They're the same. So I thought that was well done characterization. And then just like, I wear clothes at home. I don't know about this guy. Like, he's cooking.
When he's cooking eggs.
Yeah.
He's cooking eggs in the nude.
Except he's still wearing his mask and he's got his hood over around his neck. Like, what the heck?
Yeah. But you see, that's the thing. I really like that about the Buckler, because those are conscious decisions on Dillard's part. Just like when he doesn't hit the guy that comes at him with the bottle. Like, if the Buckler was a bad guy, he could have just driven that dude's face into a wall and shot at his jaw, or ruptured his testicle with a flick, right? But he didn't. He just kind of moved and the guy fell over. Now, that you might argue that's because the Buckler isn't going to even waste his time hitting the guy, but it's more like there's a sad sort of resignation to the Buckler. It's like, no matter what I do, I screw up. But he's not a bad guy, he's not out to hurt people.
When he flicks the guy in the testicle, he doesn't mean to rupture him. It meant to just shock the guy, because that's the only reason you do that.
Hey, cup check is what he goes. He's calling him like Little League or something. He's like, hey, cup check. He goes smack him in the nuts,
But we'll get to more of that later. Okay, so moving on, he realizes something's been revealed here, and he realizes he's been set up. That there's a videotape of him in the street, and it does not present what was really going on, and that the video must have been shot from his daughter's window, which means his daughter was never there. That was a camera. He was lied to by Harrington. There we go.
Well, I mean, he's been chasing Harrington across the frozen tundra, so that's not shocking, right?
Yeah, not at all. So we know Harrington's a scumbag. Oh, and kind of like in Die Hard, he's a local news reporter. So let's keep going. You like this page?
Yeah. Like he just screams "mother effer" from the kitchen, because he puts it together where Harrington said, your daughter, but it's not the daughter, it's the camera on the tripod. It finally dawns on him. He just coming from the other room, "mother effer," and they're the 2 strippers from earlier naked getting dressed.
His roommates.
Once again, personality. Yeah. He really he nails the pacing and the personality here.
Now, from what I've heard,
one problem is we go from "mother effer" to 17 and a half minutes later with a busted up car and him getting out.
He's crashed into the news agency.
I realize that, yes, but it took me a couple of tries. Do you know what I mean? Like, I saw that, oh shit. Then we get the walkie-talkie chatter. The security guard saying, "God damn," Buckler pulling the glass out of his arm. And "what are you looking at, punk?" And okay, he crashed his car, but I didn't know it was the news station, because here it doesn't say, it says EWS network, but that's covered up by the 12 and a half minutes or 17 and a half minutes later box. So like, it would have been great
moved down.
if we had a security guard sitting at the desk. Beat. The next beat is the car coming flying through the window and just driving into a pillar. You know, like it would have been nice to have a setup beat, a moment of execution, the guy like spilling over his coffee. The buckler gets out and goes, "What are you looking at, punk?" We could have done the same page, but Buckler takes up a lot of this room. So I feel like we didn't, you know, it could have been executed differently. I'm saying that as my own personal opinion of the visual storytelling here.
Yep. It took me a moment to realize he was in a news agency because I saw the words behind instead of this being below them, so you could read both.
Well, and you know, to be fair, the N isn't even there, and the tiniest detail in the upper left-hand corner shouldn't be the thing that gives me the implication of where we are. He has some great dialogue here where he kicks open the door. Says, "Boy, I will slap the soul right out of your body, your goddamn body. Don't touch me." And there are times when Dillard nails the dialogue for the bucklers so perfectly, where you could just hear Dillard's voice coming out of his mouth. Like you can hear Dillard saying these lines, which is why, you know, I would want to say it's a self-insert, but it's not. It's not really a self-insert. It's just Dillard as a superhero. You know, he's not like writing himself into the book. It's just his personality coming out of the buckler.
Yeah. And Jay Ryan says, seems like an extra page on a lot of these scenes would make for better pacing or storytelling overall.
Yeah. Yeah, the pacing runs into some issues at times. At other times, it feels like it's well pronounced, especially later on when the fighting picks up. I think he does a good job with his measured beats, but these transitional scenes, these storytelling elements where we need to learn this stuff in order to move the plot to where it needs to be. I think we could use some additional pages of setup.
Now you got me more attentive to how frames relate to each other, and none of the panels in here I found hard to follow. So I also think that outside of the slightly muddy coloring, the line work is perfectly good.
Yeah, and then suddenly the book is lighter again. Like you actually get it going from here. You know, you start getting lighter. Like this is much lighter than that muddier color earlier into here. And so I think what happened was books print darker. They just do. That's what happens. Without pre-press, like established pre-press, and CMYK checking for your print files, you're not gonna know the K values, the darkness that you're, you know, the black values of your book and how that's going to translate into print. You need like a dedicated, you either need experience in pre-press or you need some dedicated to having done pre-press in the past to kind of check your book and lighten your levels if you need it. And I don't know if Dillard had that because, like I said, he is a one-man band. But then, you know, like this looks like a comic book page. This is, as I take it out here, it's colorful, right? Line work is good. We have a nice little beat panel here. Once again, I feel the wording gets a little bit tight at times. You know, and I think there was dialogue that could have been cut down on, but this is a press, you know, this is a press release, right? Like he's giving a statement to the press. So of course there's going to be a lot of dialogue here.
And I wonder if in here, by the way, hi Josh, if I remember your name correctly. So hi Josh, Raiden Radio.
Yeah, what's up?
Raiden Radio.
Raiden
okay.
Radio. Yep.
This page, I wonder
what's
if
he saying?
Okay, we start here. Yeah, he's just saying hi. We start here. The bubble goes. I got to darken up. There we go. We start here. The bubble goes there, and then you read down. And you read down like this, and it brings you to the next one. So that flow is okay. Although right here you could bounce there, miss a bubble here, and then come down.
Over and straight down.
I wonder if he wrote one of these bubbles just to see if people are actually reading, and it's that one. He's asking a bald guy, "Is that your natural hair color?"
Yeah.
Yeah, and is that question in there just to see if we're actually reading the book? I don't know. Dillard would mess with us like that.
It's possible. And he only has facial hair, you know. So
yeah. Thank you.
Once again, like this character here is completely covered by the dialogue bubble, or I should say the word balloon. God, there's so many people that refer to him so many different ways, and I never know the right one to say. I think it is word balloon.
Caption balloon?
No, those are caption boxes. Word balloons and caption boxes are two different things, my friend. Like I said, the nomenclature really doesn't matter.
I gotta start inviting Eric Weathers.
What's that?
I gotta start. She's just like she's like looking over it. I gotta start inviting Eric Weathers to join us so we can get things right.
talk about lettering. Yeah,
Yeah.
he could have moved that over up a little bit and done a little bit more of an offset. He could have changed how many sentences are in each bubble. So okay, that's another thing. Look, try to keep it below 18 words per bubble, no more than 2 bubbles per box. I've found that when pacing my story, and try and only keep one sentence or one thought in a balloon. You need to have them be complete, unless you're going to let them hang and then you need an ellipsis or a dash or something so you can finish the thought in the next word balloon. But like there's a whole part of like the way people read, and if you are disrupted in your reading more than like 3 times, it creates these reading loops where you have to go back to reread it to see if you really understand it, and that wears people out, and then they stop reading altogether and they just start flipping pages to look at the art.
Yeah, pretty much, which gets me. By the way, speaking of story again, okay, you know how in movies you can catch if they say anything, you say, okay, I've seen enough movies by however old I am to know that whatever they mention, look for it later. It's going to come up. You know, they don't waste time in movies like that. So he does this again, where we saw before that he means well. He doesn't hit the guy who's drunk, or no, he hits the guy who's drunk, but but mostly just dodges him. And then he doesn't mean to explode the testicle of the one guy in the Gateway 4. And here he's coming in, he's angry at Harrington, who is live on the air, by the way, and gives him a kick to the face because Harrington has set him up to be smeared, and it's all a lie and whatnot. And then he's like, now you listen to me, Harrington. This is just a warning. This is your first and last warning. You hear me?
Harrington.
Harrington is
this
out on the floor,
is what I'm talking about.
This
himself. Beat panel, right?
Yeah.
And he's pissing himself on the floor. He's like, he's yelling at him, this is your one and only warning, Harrington. And then he has a different expression on his face, and it's that like large eye, small eye expression of her. And that's a great beat juxtaposition there. And then of course Harrington's just in a puddle of his own urine on the floor. So yeah, once again, like you said, great storytelling there. I really enjoyed that. Then I got a little bit confused here because we turned the page from the news interview, and we've got Baldo. I don't remember his real name. And he's talking with someone. Who's he talking to? Because that's not Harrington's mustache. Who's this guy he's talking to?
Oh, we saw him earlier in the book. Let me go find him. So this is your manipulator behind the scenes guy who came in. That's not Harrington. He came in on this page down here, telling them what to do.
Oh, at the house.
At the house after they're fixing this guy up. You can't lose the plot when you go and get the popcorn, man.
You know what I think it was, man? I think the exploding testicle rattled me, and I may have missed that detail. I may have just been like, let me turn the page. You got to get away from it. And I may have missed this detail here.
The surgery scene afterwards really got me.
Dude, I'm serious. That's the 2 things that I'm going to take away from this book are a dude gets his nut exploded out the side of his sack, and the spine broke and all the pages fell out.
And I'm looking at it going, they didn't go to the hospital. Why did they not go to the hospital?
Because it'll make the 4 look weak.
Apparently. Yeah, I know. I read what they were saying. I'm just in shock at how stupid they are. Anyway.
So then he's got Harrington in his basement, and he blackmails him. Right? He's like, I got files. I got files on the 4.
Yeah. But he's
not. Do you want to lead us through that?
Okay, he's not really blackmailing Harrington. He's talking with Harrington, and it comes out that they're saying they had a parent, at least one parent in common. So these are half brothers, right. or maybe brothers, or it's like step siblings or something like that. So they're both raised by, I think, the same father. Not sure.
A mean son of a bitch.
Yeah. And my understanding, because I listen sometimes to a guy who does a RX radio. His name's Jordan Shallow. He's a chiropractor and a competitive lifter. But now he just coaches a bunch and does a radio show. Anyway, they grew up in Winnipeg, him and all of his friends. And it was a really rough place to grow up, apparently, so many years ago. And I kind of recognize that from some of the backgrounds here, where I've lived in places that haven't been refurbished since the 80s, that kind of thing. And I'm seeing that in some of Dillard's backgrounds, which I think was realistic for certain parts of town, even though I've never been to Winnipeg.
Mhm.
Hey, Skip. And then, Skip Edwards is here. Hey, Skip, sorry about
He's just
that.
getting in.
I missed him earlier. Anyway, so
We were talking about exploding nuts. It's
yeah,
understandable.
we were. It was very distracting.
Talk
Anyway,
about busting a nut. Wah, wah.
so oh man. So anyway, he's got Harrington, his step half brother ish guy down here, and he's saying that on the gang of I keep going Gang of Four. That's a band, but on the Gateway Four, he has files to show that they're really just scumbags. And he tells Harrington, "You can read these." And the kind of the thing he's doing is saying, "I'm going to leave you these and just leave the moral question up to you." And see what Harrington does from there. And that's where this comes down to. And Harrington is telling him, and this is what I thought was something I thought was interesting. Harrington is telling him, don't go out to the protest that these four have arranged on the bridge, a protest against you in particular. Now what's funny is Thin Mustache Man was telling them that Buckler is going to come out to the protest because he can't help himself. He's that arrogant. So, okay, we're getting characterization all over the place. You drop the characterization first, you show it later, and this is exactly what happens. He's not listening to advice. I've known people like this and it's not even out of arrogance. Sometimes it's out of desperation. But he goes out to the protest and mayhem ensues, but all this is getting caught on television camera. And do I want to flip the next page? Yeah, there we go. So he's fighting, and the girl I thought might be superpowered, she's asking him to stop. And where do you want to pick up before I go? We hit the next page after that.
Make me.
You got any sticky notes?
I had some earlier. We're pretty much hitting all of them so far. Like once again, like this panel is really, really dark. That's one of the reasons that I slapped that down. It's like we're back into that muted tone color palette.
Yeah.
And you can do dark without being muddy. Do you know what I mean? And it feels like we get muddy here. And this one panel in particular, where we've got the mustachioed man talking to his phone, the details are very hard to pick up on.
Honestly, Mustachio Man brighter, so it's less muddy, but smaller, so there's room for the words, and we would see the glow from his phone, which is half covered up by the balloon.
Yeah, I can kind of get that it's a phone. He's talking to it, not on it. Do you know people that do that? The people that don't hold their phone to the side of their head, but they just kind of like sit there with their phone like in front of them and they speak to it like it's some sort of recording device. Do you know people like that?
Yeah, I've seen that sometimes, and sometimes they have an earpiece in, so that's why they're doing that.
I mean, I definitely do the earpiece, and I just put my phone in my pocket at that point. But yes.
So I've caught you up on the story a little bit. We're moving to anything else in the bridge scene going
on. No, not that I can think of. This is the promotional image that he used. Really nice image. You can kind of get a feel for the colors here. Like for one of the first times, you can really get a sense of like the feel of what the Buckler's color palette is, which is, nice to finally get like differentiation in the background brown and like the sort of mauve-ish color of his outfit.
Yeah. And we get a nice contrast between him and at least one person. One thing I didn't catch is this the same guy who's saying you murdered my daughter and he's beating him up for real now?
I think so. He didn't really beat him up for real. He just gave him one punch in the tummy.
Okay.
Because that's all Buckler needs. He is like one punch man.
Yeah.
And then he holds him up and he says, is this the guy? Is it? Are you with him? Is that what you want? Is that what you want to be? Choose. And he throws the guy at him. Hey, you can have him back now.
Yeah.
So the thing is, he goes to the protest and he gets played. Like he gets riled up and sucked in and just, goaded into fighting with the crowd. And he gets played perfectly.
Yeah. And it's not good for him. I mean, he is.
And I like how it becomes like you can see the panel borders, like he starts doing the inset panels Characters are more dynamic, stepping out of the panel frame. You've got untraditional angles for the panel borders. Then you've got like the collage page
Mhm.
where and like it's intended so that like you can't quite tell what's going on where people are. It's like to create a sense of chaos and chaotic movement.
Mhm.
And I like that. I really like this page. And then we get the
This one I had a little
the
trouble
violence.
reading because I went there first when it's there like that. It's a
Hold
Z.
on. Show me again. Oh, this. Yeah.
Yeah, I went
This,
straight
right?
down, and that's all her. It's her, him, her,
Right.
him.
Right. Then we
My
get
mistake.
the and once again, like I said, like we start picking up with the pacing, right?
Mhm.
And you can see like we really don't need a lot of dialogue here.
No.
Stuff's happening. We do not need people narrating and conversing and giving us lengthy paragraphs on, you killed my father and I don't do this because I want to. I do this because I have to, and I am the buckler and you don't understand me. We don't get any of that. We don't need it. This guy throws a Molotov cocktail at him, sets the bridge on fire. He grabs the dude and, starts beating people up, smashes this guy's face in with the back of his head. All hell is breaking loose.
And here's
Really nice
this one is
two-page spread.
another. This one is another. There's something good on this, but there's something bad on it. The muddy palette again.
Yeah,
even though it's
muddy
at night,
palette's very tough to read here.
but really nice that we get randos down the spine and we get her centered on one page, or focused on one page,
And him
against
on the other.
him, except he's so hard to see. And he's doing, he's going nuts. He's throwing this guy by the belt, I think. It's right there. It's kind of hard to see there. He's got a knife in his chest. All right. And remember, it seems like he's not super powered at this point.
Right. Well, we know he's got the strength of at least 3 men,
Yeah.
which is what we were told earlier. But we're about to see him go, full buckler.
And apparently healing abilities. It's just
yeah. Whew. I really do like this page. It's unfortunately that it is so dark, and you can really see it here because there is a lot of line work that just disappears into the dark. I'm trying not to pull the pages out of the book now.
You can't help it. It's just gravity.
Well, I mean, yeah. Once you turn, like,
So this was a nice surprise, and I think Dillard did a great job in terms of storytelling, where what's with the heartbeat, what's going on, and then I had to look, and then more heartbeat on the inset here. Storytelling wise, this is a good place to drop it. The only problem I would say is that this needs to be on a left side so that you turn the page and see the punchline instead of turning the page, seeing the punchline, and then having, because your eyes can't help but see certain things.
You want this, and then you have to read.
Yeah, the reveal is kind of on the wrong side, but in terms of saying this, just pacing the story, like if we read these only one side at a time, then yeah, Dillard revealing this and saying, oh, look, he's growing these like weird antler wings thing miraculously that are somehow superpowered. That absolutely explains the beginning of the book. How did he catch the helicopter?
Right. They're like moose wings. Right?
Yeah.
They're like moose antlers, and this is like Winnipeg, and I'm not quite sure exactly what's going on, because I think Dillard does a really good job of not purposely giving you all of the details up front. What I will say is I love the lightning blue, that like real cobalt blue with the white highlights, because it's nowhere else in the book. Like, he has not used this color, specifically this palette, really anywhere else. So it feels like it just jumps off the page at you and hits you full force, because it's like, oh wow, well, that's new. I haven't seen this color. Everything's kind of like, browns and browns.
Yeah. And it continues on the next page. Little purple blend.
Yeah, you got the purple lightning and everything. It's really dope.
And she is shocked by it right here. So.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happens, to be fair. He, bashes through the wall here on the bridge, right?
Mm-hmm.
She tells everyone to get out. She says, I'm sorry. We see, I don't know, is that wind? Everyone's getting thrown off the bridge by like wind. Then we see, those are like flashes. I thought that was like photography, like people, the news were boom, 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 boom. And then like there's this big crack, which is really neat, but I have no idea what's going on here. And then Buckler's heart is all beat up and he just kind of falls over.
Yeah, and I
right?
wonder whose spine is cracking because I thought it might be his, or is it
Oh, that's a
hers?
spine. I get
Yeah,
it
there's a spine right
now.
there. Is it
So that
hers
must be the
because he's
chick
fighting
because she's
her?
laying
Yeah.
on the ground.
Mm-hmm. Which is she's saying, I'm sorry," because he's coming at her.
Right. So I like I said, I was still wasn't sure like the events, they weren't spelled out very obviously for me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what this is. I see lightning. Wump is kind of the sound effect that we've been getting for his heart, right? We get
Mm-hmm.
kathud, kathump, and then wump, 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 wump.
Mm-hmm.
So that's got to be the heart again. And I guess that's like getting electrically shocked, and that's like black, and it's got spots on it where it's been hit by like, charred by the electrical discharge.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I kind of have a feel for what he's trying to say visually, but I lost any clear path to understand what happened, rather than just sort of images where I'm trying to put them together.
Yeah. And I put this together early, when I read it, and I thought, okay, so he's really taking a toll, but he also heals. So it's not nothing. It's difficult to get through. Um, that was something I could put together mentally. Here we go. It takes a while for things to show up in StreamYard. It should be clear from panel to panel without dialogue. Yes, yes. The muddy
And then
colors
2 weeks
don't
later,
help.
it's very dark again. This is incredibly
Mm-hmm.
dark. You can barely make out the cabin. That's
Yeah.
a that's a that's a cabin. It's very hard to see. Um, and it's almost like an epilogue here, right? Like they got him out of town. They're covering his butt.
Yeah.
Um,
The
his
new the Harrington comes out on the news, and where is that? And basically reveals the truth about the people who have been bad mouthing him, which kind of vindicates him for what they're trying to say, even though it doesn't vindicate him at all for how much of a screw up he is in terms of being a hero.
and the
So
violence that he caused, and potentially the woman that he killed. We don't know
yeah,
about that.
he's not vindicated for any of that. So I like this a lot better than other. Well, this isn't an anti-hero. This is just a hapless hero, as it were. But I like this better than other books with anti-hero or redemption arcs in them. There's one in particular I'm thinking of that is a huge redemption arc. I'm predicting, but there's no story in the first 96 pages, and that's volume 1. Here, at least, we get some story. We don't know if he's going to grow until next time, but he can at least see the difference. And it's a cautionary tale. He's the cathartic hero, where you look at him, he lucks out. He kind of gets a little bit vindicated for his, some of his character, but the cautionary tale is don't be so forceful and trying too hard that you're such a screw up like this guy. And that's what made him an easy target for the people who want to use and abuse him in terms of public relations. That's what I
Yeah,
got.
I can see where you're going with that. I felt that the storytelling was still a bit disjointed.
Oh yeah.
It
So
relied a little bit too much on my cognitive faculties to put
here,
together.
yeah.
Like, I mean, and earlier stuff too, like the way that it wasn't told in sequence. Like you said, that we learn more about Harrington later. We don't have a reason to understand what's going on when he gets into it, and we're taking it almost. It feels like we're taking it in media res, even though we're not, because we're taking it at the beginning. The story itself is in media res. We don't know how Buckler broke up with his ex-wife. We didn't know that Harrington is dating her. We don't know why the idol is being stolen. So it feels like it's in media res. We don't
Mhm.
get any answers to that. That's where the story begins. So we don't go back and revisit it. But it moves from one moment to the next without a lot of grounding in what we're doing, when where we are when we're doing it. We have information that we have to, I guess, extract from the scenes that were put in. And I know it doesn't handhold, but there's like a difference between hand holding your audience and guiding them through a narrative, and just kind of abandoning them and hoping that they'll catch up. And
Yeah.
I feel like Dillard just moved with this. Like we didn't know that Harrington and his wife were together, and like we didn't know he had a daughter. Okay, until he shows up and looks for his daughter at the suburbs. How does he know where Harrington lives? You know what I mean? Like, oh, I guess
Oh,
it's not Harrington's house; it's the ex-wife's house, and the ex-wife is with the daughter. But these are all things that I have to put together myself.
Yeah.
Dillard doesn't tell me these things.
I
So
don't.
I felt
I
like
sorry.
there were elements to the storytelling that could have been a little bit rounder and filled in more that would have me bouncing forward in my understanding rather than going, I don't know where I am. I don't know what I'm doing. And when you're on the ride in a story, especially in a comic book, um, a comic book that's narratively driven. All right. Like, you know, we're not talking about some Jodorowsky stuff. We're talking about
Mhm.
like a linear comic book. It's important to keep the audience with you when you're moving. Right. And so you have to give them enough fare to get them to go, okay, I'm following, I'm following, I'm following. When he crashes into the news station, it's only then that I realized, oh, he's going to go bust in on Harrington because Harrington's saying that stuff about him on the news, right? But
Live.
once
Yeah.
again, like that transition to getting there, I had no idea where we were going.
I
I'm
had a
picking it
little
up.
bit less trouble with that. Like this page where we find out, oh, that's the ex-wife and daughter's house. I had a little bit less trouble with that because we find that out. Linda and your daughter want to be left alone. Okay, and then he's confronting Harrington. So I never
Right.
got to. I never got
Linda,
the
Linda
wrong.
and your daughter want to be left alone, but did we ever establish that that's their house?
That's how we
If
establish it. And it so
if it
for me,
was,
it's a
was it once the Buckler's house?
yeah. So for me, it well, yes, because but that comes later. So anyway, with this for me, it was a little bit of thinking and not a lot. And then when we see Harrington outside the house, it's oh yeah, right, because they're gonna. I know why he's there. That kind of thing. So I didn't get confused by him being here because I already figured it out like there, but it's still not clear. It's still a few calories expended mentally for the reader that don't need to be. You know?
I don't think you're actually kind of picking up what I'm saying. I'm not saying that it's a difficult thing to put together uh, mentally. I'm saying in the flow of narrative, right?
Oh,
When we leave his office, right? Do we leave and he says to his assistant, there's something I got to go do. I got to go see my wife.
no, nothing.
Right. So then we show up here and we're at the top of this page and he's
Mhm.
standing outside of a house and we have a member of the Highway 4 or whatever their name is, and he
Yeah.
is talking in this giant bubble. Look, Mr. Buckler, we don't want you to cause any problems, blah, 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 blah. That's the first thing I'm reading. Then I'm reading his explanation, his internal monologue about what this guy is saying, who that guy is, context. We don't really we have moments of this, right? But we don't we haven't established that the Buckler is giving us an internal monologue that serves as narration through
Mhm.
the book. We don't have a frame. We don't have a narrative frame. So Dillard has to tell us where we're going and why we're going there in order for us to not have moments of pause in the cognitive, wait, what am I doing? Where are we going?
Yeah,
Because
and he
yes,
had
three boxes from here, 3 panels from here, we're going to learn that.
yeah.
But we have this moment of, wait, what are we doing? Where are we going? And that
Oh, even
takes you
before that,
out.
flip back a page where I am. Just back one.
I don't know which page that is. This is
The one
one
in
on
the
with
one
the
in your
car?
left. Yeah, there you go.
Okay,
That's it.
this one.
He had all this opportunity because here's where he last talks to the secretary lady in his office, and then we've got him going somewhere. So we have all this opportunity for us to get an indicator of where he's going, instead of having to
Yeah.
use any mental or here, and then instead of any having to, like I said, mental calories to figure out where he is down here in this conversation.
What we get is he's giving us the opportunity to extract information, right? We have the song on the radio.
Hmm.
I can't, what does it say? I'm just going to read it here. It says, sleepless nights, losing ground, I'm searching for you. Worlds apart, hearts broken in two. Obviously, it's a love song about people that are broken up. Hey, could that be him and his ex-wife? Is that the subtext here? It's not really subtext, but whatever.
Yeah.
Then you have the phone call that says, you have reached the voicemail box of, and he puts it in his pocket and says, whatever. All right, I get it. I get what he's doing, right? We're supposed to extract from this very tactile moment the information in the story.
But I think what you're saying that you think I didn't get, which you're right, is it's too much having to extract things over and over and over again, right?
Yeah, that's definitely part of it. It also feels like it goes very much from um, like a setup and execution where you're reading the story and you're following through a sequence of events to something like this where you have to make the effort to figure out what is going on in the story by really reading into the pages in between. If that was more the diegetic tone of the book itself, rather than this narrative that explains itself, if we were doing mostly non-dialogue driven boxes, right? And it was mostly just visual storytelling where we're picking up on the context clues in these boxes, that I think would serve. But you get a moment like that, and then he gets out calling for his wife, right?
Yep.
And he's got these, I actually thought when he was looking up, I thought that was Linda for a second.
Yeah, I did Linda. Too. I'm like, that's
my point. You get it? Like, that's my point. We shouldn't we shouldn't have to wonder, why is Linda on a telephone pole? We should know he's going to go see his wife, and there are guys waiting for him to ambush him.
So this is where Dillard's storytelling has a fault in it, where his little show it then do it, and do it once then do it again. Okay, that works, and then save the reveal for the end. That all worked, but this does not. And it happens several times.
I'm still not entirely certain the role that the chick plays. Like, I understand that they set up the protest to lure the buckler out to get him to fight everybody, because anyone talks shit about the buckler is going to go lay the smackdown.
Yeah.
But what's the relationship between the girl?
This one.
What's her name? Is it Miss Maple? Is that her?
This one?
The one he kills.
Well, hopefully it doesn't kill, but yeah.
The one whose spine he snaps. I apologize. It'll be clearer.
He notices early on she's new to the team, and unlike the previous person they had on the team, she's not being obscene.
Is that her name though?
Is it Miss Maple? I don't know.
I don't know what her name is.
Yeah, we'll just call her that. Miss Maple's fine with me.
Well, because I read on the front page, there's Miss Maple is a character that belongs to someone else. Thunder, who appears in the end, belongs to James Gibson, Booster Kiwi, and Miss Maple, including costume, likeness, variants, etc., is property of Cat from Wildcat Inc. So there are 3 characters in this: the Buckler, Miss Maple, and Thunder, who are significant to the story. And I don't know anyone else who could be Miss Maple, but I don't remember getting this chick's name.
I don't either.
Right? So I don't understand how she's important to the story. I don't understand her pre-existing relationship with the Buckler. It might be significant. I might have to wait until the next book to find out. But in the moment where he snaps her back, I don't care.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So, like, you can't do that. You have to give me a reason to care.
I cared about the fact that he was going too far more than I cared about her getting hurt.
Right, that seems to be the apex of him going too far, is breaking her spine. And if there is some sort of pre-existing, I don't even know if it's a relationship, but like maybe she knows him, he knows her. It seems that way based off of the dialogue that they share.
Nope. Here's what he says.
Knowing
about her.
The background might be significant, because like let's say he broke the old bald guy's back, wouldn't have cared, right? Wouldn't have mattered. Who cares? Fuck him. But this chick, for some reason, hurting her is a significant transgression, right? But why? Yeah. She was with that team, but why?
And to me, the whole scene is him going too far, on the bridge. That's later. By the way, here where he first meets her, he says the new girl is off. She's not out here showing her ass. She's different. So there's no pre-existing relationship. She's the new girl. There's nothing. And she's just the one who seems to be. I mean, she even says to him when he says, "You're free to try and stop me, little bird." She says, "You know that I can't." And she's begging him not to go on a rampage. And so for me, him breaking her back is okay. Yeah, he's going too far. Is really more. He's still going too far.
Who's all right, you know that page, the collage page where she says, he's going to take it too far, right?
Mhm.
The page opposite that on the left-hand side, there are two eyes just sort of burning in the dark where it says, "This is bad, he's too strong." Who is saying that?
Let me see.
I don't know anybody's who's got red uh irises that are kind of giving off intense heat.
Yeah, I don't know who
I don't
says
know
that.
who that is. So
Nope.
I thought in my mind, because her costume is orange-ish,
Mhm.
that was her. I don't know. I think I just made the color association, but she's wearing a domino mask just like the buckler, so we can't really
Mhm.
see her eyes either. And every time we do see them later, they're dark.
And it's not the bald guy because he's not powered.
Right.
Miss Maple is a character from another creator, kind of like the Buckler comes out of Rick Piper's Canadian Shield universe.
Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, this is confusing. I think that's her,
Yeah, it
but
is her because you see it later when she has everyone leave the bridge. Everyone get off the bridge now. There's no time. There's a close up on her face, right
looking.
above the where everyone jumps off the bridge, right before the page where he snaps her back, in
Mhm.
the upper right hand corner. No, one more page. Yep, right upper right hand corner.
That's her orange
Those are
eyes.
her eyes.
Okay, but here, how are we supposed to know that in this
I
page?
don't know. I don't know. And that was the other thing. Like, so we are intending to have the bucklers show up to this protest that we arranged to get a whole bunch of innocent people in one place so that we can have him show up and beat the crap out of them and look bad. That's our sinister plan. If I'm the guy with the thin mustache, right?
Yep.
And I'm using the Gateway 4 to do that. And this new chick who's new to the team, I guess she's not really part of the Gateway 4 because she's new. Seems like Bald Guy is in on this plan, right? The dude who gives the press statement, he's in on the, hey, yeah, let's get the buckler down to the protest. We'll push it over the edge. We'll have someone do something, and it winds up being the guy whose daughter died. But it doesn't seem like this chick was in on the plan at all, does
No,
it?
but by the way, just thought I had not to totally belabor it, but this panel of her eyes here and the one where they're
Mhm.
glowing in black, you could switch those panels and it would totally work. You
Yeah,
could so that here we know who she is, and there we would know who she is because we've seen her color before. That's
right.
it. Anyway,
Yeah,
no, she is just naive, and
right.
the
So
thing
we
I'm
kind of
not
put her
making.
there as a sacrificial lamb. So I guess, it is the Gateway 4 that's kind of engineered all of this death and destruction just to paint the buckler as a screw up. Personally, I don't understand the hate boner that they have for him. I don't understand the context where it comes from. It seems like he's already a washed up superhero and a failure on his own accord. Why do we have to, you know, destroy his image? Is it because he has files on the Gateway 4 and the Gateway 4 doesn't want him releasing those files? If so, I know Moose put the files together, but why? Like,
Moose
so
being
there's a
his
lot of context here that I just don't understand.
yeah, Moose being his sidekick for those who haven't read
Yeah.
the book, but his sidekick in the background, sort of like a Alfred Butler sort of type. Um, let's see, what I picked up from it was they were using him to make themselves look better. They were a pre-existing team of do-gooders, and just because hey, there's an easy target and a loser. If we make, we can knock him down, or basically stand on him to make themselves look good, and that's the only motive I got out of it. In other words, grade school. And to me, this reflects real life a lot. So,
Hmm. If there was really no other motivation beyond, like, if he was like a private investigator, let's say, and he had
okay.
actual dirt on them, and they were
Mhm.
trying to get locked up for causing a riot and hurting a lot of people, and that way discredit him so that anything he released to the public would be seen as like retaliatory, right? Like,
Mhm.
I might get that. The idea of them just kind of using him as a failed superhero to look good by standing next to him, and like torturing him because he's bad at being a hero and they're not really great at being heroes because they don't have powers, but they're still kind of heroes. That doesn't really play to me there.
Mhm.
Like that doesn't land well for me. There doesn't seem to be, there's so much sinister scheming going on that it doesn't seem like, hey, let's this crappy guy, we're going to torture him and make all sorts of conspiratorial efforts and then endanger a large public mob and get people killed or potentially killed by having the buckler beat them up just so we can look good as heroes compared to how bad he is as a hero.
Or mustache guy, hair lip, as Jay Ryan called him, has some other motive for setting the buckler up that we're not aware of yet. Because he seems to be the one behind the Gang of Four driving them.
Right. That's and Dillard has explained to me that the buckler was attempting to be a hero. He wanted to be the Canadian Shield sidekick. He got over eager, killed a woman. Canadian Shield said, "I can't take you as a sidekick," and so then the buckler kind of struck out on his own, trying to do things his own way, the Dillard way. But if I don't know any of that, if I'm coming to the table fresh, if I haven't talked to Dillard behind the scenes,
or if you haven't read
if I sit down and read this book, right?
Yeah.
I come to it from there. There's a lot that doesn't land or resonate for me. I'm confused as to why a lot of this stuff is happening. What is with the idol? Is that at all important?
No, that's
right. So like we open the book with him pursuing Harrington, and the idol doesn't come into play at all.
It's a MacGuffin scene just to introduce the characters. That's it.
But you could do that. Like, I didn't find that amusing. Like, you could do that differently. And
by the way, Jay Ryan, I believe a plot hole is an actual contradiction in the plot as opposed to just a piece of something that's missing.
Why is Harrington carrying an idol in Antarctica or wherever it is as a news reporter? Like that threw me right from the
beginning. There you go.
I'm like, I don't understand what's going on here.
Later, when it's like, wait, he's the local anchor. It's like, why was he running around with a piece of archaeology? that one got me too. We're like, why did we do this? But no, okay. Without reading the initial ash can, because I think Buckler showed up not in Canadian Shield #1, but in the ash can for Buckler that came with it, is the little story about where he accidentally kills the girl.
What was that on? Was that on the Canadian Shield?
That was an ash can for the Canadian Shield.
Why wasn't it on this campaign?
I don't know. So, and it should have been. So without knowing that, all we get from the beginning is some mild.
We're chasing a guy in Manitoba or wherever, or the Antarctic. We're chasing Harrington, who's got a tiki idol, and he's escaping on a helicopter.
Yeah,
that is all I know about the buckler.
But this is where something looks contradictory. Why is he such a loser if he was able to get the tiki idol back? Those two things don't go together real well.
Right. We don't know. Like, we don't know how he got it back. Allegedly, if we know anything about the buckler, he jumped, grabbed the helicopter, crashed it into the side of a mountain, and walked away with the idol, whereas everyone else burned to death. That's how I would imagine Buckler would have handled that situation, being who he is. But clearly that didn't happen because Harrington is back at his day job. He got roughed up, right?
A little.
He's got, stitches on his head. He got a little bit roughed up somehow. Mm-hmm. You know, the buckler didn't just like yank him out and throw him from like 10,000 feet up or whatever. So like that was very disorienting off the bat, and I had some trouble keeping up with where Dillard was taking us as we went. And remember, I read this from the position of lowest common denominator. I am your average reader.
Like you don't walk into it knowing he's a loser. You walk into it going, somehow he succeeded getting the idol. Now what?
Well, it communicated very well to me in the beginning that he's a loser. The whole like, your ex-wife is getting married to the guy who stole the idol and is running from you.
Okay, yeah, we did get that.
That hit. I was like, oh shit. Okay, I get the buckler, and also the way that he interacts with Moose on the phone, and the way he's like cursing at Harrington, running after him. That gave me a definite sense of who the buckler is.
Yeah,
you know, he's not a superhero. He's a bad superhero. Like, I got that. That definitely felt that way and came through. I'm literally talking about events in sequence that did not make sense. And like that big hole going from Antarctica or you know,
wherever,
the Arctic back to Winnipeg. And maybe there is a story that's going to be told there at a later date to fill in the details about what happened on that helicopter. But it, that left right there, that kind of, I guess, disoriented me, and I was trying to play catch up. So I was really looking for details in what I was reading to try and explain stuff. And it didn't really, because then suddenly we were at his ex-wife's house. Oh, okay, so we're at his ex-wife's house, but I thought it was like Harrington's house, right? Because they're getting married. Was that really the house Buckler bought? That would have been a great line. You can't, he said something about, do they sleep together with my daughter in that house? Great line. I won't have you effing my wife under my roof, Harrington. We could have made some really solid dialogue choices here that give more information about the setting, that don't require us to try and read through the lines or between the lines so much. Is that the ash can?
No, this is, I can grab the ash can, but this is a different book, because Ryan asked, okay, wait a minute. You could have just, whoops, wrong way. Could have just introduced him on the news or when the Buckler goes on the TV station. Mm-hmm. Yeah. We needed a little of that. Any other ash can with the book or campaign. There's a second book, the really cool interior cover. Like, that's a good shot.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the art's very solid
on this one.
The muddy colors kind of ruined the art to some degree on the first book.
Yeah, and then there's a separate story which I have not read yet. Some Other Adventure. Don't know what it's about. I think that's Canadian Shield. I might be wrong.
It looks much more superhero.
Yeah,
like that looks like a definitive like set up for going on a mission of some sort.
Mm-hmm. I have to wonder, is that Harrington again? Don't know.
It looks like him with the mustache, right?
Yep. So yeah, there's more to read.
Yeah.
Okay, now, so you were troubled
at work
sorry?
On the next installment of the Buckler, and I think he's got 3 parts planned for like the first arc, and I have spoken to him about what he's doing with the character, and it's a great story. Like, there are some seriously cool elements of the journey that Buckler is taking as a character, and I really want to see those play out, like his relationship with the people around him, because he's very thoughtless. Mm-hmm. In general, like, he only thinks about himself. He doesn't think about the people that matter to him, even when he says that they matter to him. Like, I'm going to go see my daughter. Does your daughter even want to see you right now? Is that what's best for her? Like, so there's a lot of that's in this story that I know Dillard wants to bring to the forefront, so you can really experience the character's like his trial, that grows his character to really journey on the arc with him. But I haven't, heard about like a Buckler 2 on the horizon or anything like that. And, I'd like to see Dillard make the attempt to tell that story.
I'd like to believe that the muddy coloring is just a dark printing error and not bad planning.
That's what it is.
On his, okay.
I think it's dark printing. I think it's a lack of familiarity with prepress. Mm-hmm. I know. Look, so Joe Catapano did his colors for Star Circuit twice.
Oh wow!
We did our colors twice. We did our test proofs. Got them back. They were too dark. We had to go back in and adjust our color values. One of the things, people do a lot of work in clip, right? And that, unless you set it for CMYK ahead of time, it defaults to RGB. You have to color check your RGB, your red, green, blue colors into CMYK, which is cyan, yellow, magenta, and black, which is what they use for printing.
Right.
RGB is digital. It's on the screen. CMYK is on paper. And the two things are entirely different. Like they translate completely differently. If you try and print on paper what's on a screen with RGB, it will not come out well. And like, you actually can't, like, printers can't do that. So you have to adjust K values when you're doing CMYK, because you're adding that black in there. And if you don't have experience with pre-press, it comes out too dark. Nothing you can do about that. Is the same for everybody.
There are huge standards for, which Adobe system did you use to translate between RGB and CMYK, and there's all kinds of, they call it color space. But one thing I'm hearing from you is you got caught up on things that are real and do matter in the story. Whereas I really just let those roll by and didn't notice when I should. And I have a bad habit
Mhm.
of oh, here we go. The comment nobody wants to make. It's a
Got it.
lowercase.
Yep. No,
It's a
it's true.
lowercase b.
And that's the joke about Bancroft. That's the joke
Yes.
about Bancroft's K values, because he doesn't like the blicks. Like he has trouble with his black values.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, and he put out a video on how to make sure that it converts correctly for your lines, so that you can double the blacks with your lines staying correct instead of being a percentage of everything and getting mushy. But
mhm.
anyway, so one of the problems I've been having reading books is I'm not getting caught up on the things I should get caught up on, like you asking the questions. You're like, why are we here? Where's this? And then noticing, no, this information should have come sooner on the prior page. So I am learning, though.
I mean, I don't think you're reading it wrong. Honestly, here's the way I'm looking at it. If you read a book and you enjoyed the book and it
Mm-hmm.
felt good to you, then it's a good book.
Mm-hmm.
To you, it is a good book. A lot of this stuff is subjective. There are some things that are fundamental, right? Like if you write the words right to left instead of left to right, it's wrong, because we don't write that way in America.
Right.
Like that is objectively wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But storytelling.
Are you saying manga is objectively wrong?
No. The bubbles are red right to left. I'm saying the words still point left to right. Right? If you're actually mirror imaging the words, they're going the wrong way.
Okay, you're backpedaling. We got it. Yeah. All right.
Well, I mean, like we don't talk about manga because Mo Biggs will time me out and kick me off the show.
True.
But there are some things that are just objectively wrong. There are some other things, like there are storytelling conventions people fly in the face of. I think that page where he's driving in the car and it's very tactile and you have to search the panels to really pull out the details of what is significant. Why are we looking at this? This is the page of transition between the previous location and his wife's house, and that is a very important page, but you could just easily skip over it if you're trying to follow the narrative rather than stop and really dig and I get it now.
The lyrics being printed in bigger type or bigger font
sure,
would have helped.
But if that works for you and you're able to distill that information from that page, which is a really cool, addition that he's going for, and if it didn't feel like it was suddenly stop and go with the storytelling there, then that's fine. Like if you enjoyed it and you went right through it, there's nothing wrong with doing that. People make tactile comics. There's a comic book, Rain Like Hammers. Another one, Righteous Thirst for Vengeance. Both of these are very tactile books. Your boy Zach actually did a write-up on Rain Like Hammers. He did a video on it. He said it was like it filled him with ennui. And that's because it's such a tactile storytelling is like you're experiencing the setting, scene, location, and ambiance of the book rather than the characters, the story, the plot, and everything. You're living inside that bubble. Like with the Buckler driving his car, you're living inside the feeling that he has while he's listening to the song on the radio in the context of the story. So, I mean, that's a very powerful way to tell a story, and a moment of that in the midst of a story driven narrative or like a plot driven narrative can be refreshing for some people. For me, it didn't quite land. It took me out of it.
Now, for me, part of what landed that I know didn't quite reach you is because we know different people. I've known people who are that try too hard, easy target. And when I was in grade school, I was kind of that person, like I could see some of that going on. Whereas for you, from what you said earlier, it sounded like that didn't reach you very well. It's the Buckler being this, what I called a try too hard, easy target for the people who want to use him to stand on and make themselves look bigger.
Yeah. I mean, like that they're scumbags, like, and I didn't get enough scumbag from them. I guess that's what I would have needed to see one of them kick a puppy. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like drive home to me that there's scumbags. So I go, oh, okay, this is believable. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, talk about collateral damage. What if someone gets killed? Then they get killed. It's not our problem. Like, drive it home to me that these people are terrible people. You mentioned having files on them. Show me their files. This one's into, the P word. And, this one has outstanding gambling debts. This one killed a woman and buried her in the desert. He strangles prostitutes. Show me what's in the files. tell me, you tell me they're bad. Show me, let me really know that they're bad.
Mhm.
And also, I know Moose put together the files. It's something that he's good at, but like, how'd you get him? Where'd you put him together from? Why did you put him together? Like, you're introducing these guys outside of your house, stopping you from getting to your daughter. To me, they actually belong there. He's going to go cause a scene, right? Like, they're there to stop him from causing a scene, and they're trying to keep the peace. So when I encountered them for the first time, I'm like, okay, these guys are like the neighborhood watch heroes. They're kind of pathetic. They're there to, to bluster in front of him and keep the people safe from the buckler.
Yeah, and
But
that was my first impression.
They're not criminals, they're
Right.
not like criminally minded out to ruin his reputation and get a bunch of people killed and get him locked up. That's a big leap.
But that's the thin mustache guy. For me, it was the same thing. Like, okay, they're interfering in a family affair, but it probably is for good reason. It's probably, that kind of thing. And it's like, yeah, they belong there. And then I find out, no, they were being used by Harrington as a setup to make the buckler look bad. And then the thin mustache guy goes even further with it and is doing the same thing.
But then Harrington reveals the files.
Sorry?
But then
reveals
Harrington
the files later.
The files.
Yeah. So I don't think Harrington and Thin Mustache Guy have any relationship at all, but we still don't know the motive of this mysterious evil figure in the background. So it's like, is that going to be in book 2? Then on the very last page, who is that guy?
Regardless, we need to know that in order to understand how the Gateway 4 fit into it. I know the bald guy has a hate boner for the buckler, and he's taking his cues from Thin Mustache Man, who's, we don't know their name, his name, right?
So does he? I don't think bald guy understands how badly he's being used, and it's sort of like
he has a moment in the van, if I recall correctly. In the van, he says something like, "Isn't that bad, or won't that cause a scene?" And let me go back and check. Hold on, let me put my pages in order here.
So initially, they were being used by Harrington to cause a scene, which only happened with exploding a testicle, and then after that, they were being used again by Thin Mustache Guy to cause a bigger scene.
Right. He says, don't contact me. Get in touch. I'll get in touch when the smoke clears. He goes, yeah, but what if? And then he's getting out of the van. He says, shit. This is the bald guy.
He's starting to figure out this is bad. And so how do I say this? He knows that what they're doing is out to make the buckler look bad, to make themselves look good. But I don't think they understand what's going on even behind that with Thin Mustache Guy, and neither do we.
So Harrington clearly knows that they're setting him up at the protest. Why doesn't Harrington, if he's going to release the files, he actually wants to stop the buckler from, hurting people, because that's bad, but also from getting up and ruining his reputation, because that's also bad. Why don't they just go and take the files to the news station? Why does the buckler go to the protest? Like, that doesn't.
And for me, the change of heart on Harrington is like, oh, I've aligned myself with really horrible people to deal with my stepbrother.
But we don't see a catharsis from that. We don't see him go through any sort of metamorphosis.
Not really. We just see him get on the.
We just hear that he put it on the news.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it. We just hear that he put it on the news. We don't even see, like, we see recent evidence has come into Channel 5's possession that will shine new light on the Gateway 4. Tune in tomorrow for an exclusive expose on the Gateway 4. That's all we have.
Yeah, and he wants to get clicks. He wants to get the viewers. That's it. So for me, this whole book was really about the buckler himself and not about everybody else. Like, I don't need to know everything about everybody else because I got the bit about him. My question is, did he learn anything at the end? And I don't see it, which is disappointing.
All I got was he wants to see his wife and daughter, and he doesn't like when people say nasty things about him or lie about him. And he's a violent, out of control person.
Yeah.
That's all I got about the buckler. I would like to know in context more about the situation that has created him to be thus. And like you said, that's the ash can, but I'm talking specifically in the context of this story. How has he crossed the Gateway 4 in the past?
Yeah.
What has driven this animosity on the part? Who is Mustache Guy, and why is he trying to get rid of the buckler?
And maybe that's a future issue. So
it doesn't matter. It can't be a future issue.
Yeah, I know
It
that's what
can't be because
frustrates me.
I didn't get out of this what I need to back the next book.
Yeah, for me, it's like if I were focused on the mustache guy, I would care about that and not back the next book. But I'm not. So Hairlip Jones. Sorry, we got the name wrong. It's Hairlip Jones. If you know, it's one of these things where it's only because I'm focused on certain things that I even enjoyed the book at all.
I liked the Buckler's attitude, and I liked his dialogue. I liked his personality. I liked the art. I liked Dillard's ability to pace fight scenes. There were a couple chaotic parts of the fight scenes, but I liked his fight scenes. Like
Mhm.
there's a lot that is going for this book. Unfortunately, it even though it had 4 editors on this book, it doesn't seem like someone was really
Coherent.
being exceptionally critical of the narrative setup. And
Mm.
I think John could have used that.
Yeah. I think that's a good place to end. So wrapping back real quick to your comments on manga. There you go. Thank you, Mo Biggs. Thanks everybody for being here. I saw we just dropped 2 viewers, which is fine. Because we're ending now. This went on way longer than I thought.
What time is it? Oh my god, it's 10:42. We're supposed to do an hour-long show, man. What's going on?
60 to 90. That's it, 60 to 90. And I just need to know, is it going to be better for us to start at 9 p.m. or at 8:30 Eastern time? So
I don't know. 8:30 is usually good by me. I could do 9 too, especially if we cut down the length of the show.
Neff has no concept of time. Yeah, that's
what is
there.
Time?
My thing wasn't scrolling down. That's terrible. Hairlip Jones. Later, I'll have a good night. Yeah, it's called time blindness. I deal with it too. All right, Neff. Thanks everybody for being here. Have a good night.